political interference and the infiltration of criminal syndicates in the criminal justice system. Masemola was testifying at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria.
After the arrest of Matlala on the 14th of May 2025, it became clear as to what was the objective for the disbandment. But the team was it is still working, and in any way, currently we are going to beef it up, and Gauteng also, we are in the process of establishing a PKTT for the province.
Patients in some of the hospitals in the Gauteng province of South Africa might have cancer, might have to wait for weeks to know if they have cancer or not. This is because the histology laboratory located in the Charlotte Maxeke Hospital in Johannesburg has a backlog of over 14,000 biopsy reports. This is according to the Democratic Alliance's Shadow Health Member of Executive Council, MEC in the Gauteng province, Dr. Jack Bloom. Bloom did an oversight visit at the laboratory yesterday.
When doctors take a sample, if they suspect cancer, it could be breast cancer, prostate cancer, skin cancer, any of your organs, they will take a sample and send it to this laboratory. Now, it's very important that they do a biopsy, and the biopsy report needs sent back to the doctor as soon as possible, because if he can't diagnose if it's a cancer or not and what type of cancer, then he can't start treatment. So in a typical case, say it's a lump in the breast, it should take no more than 7 days, but it's now taking as long as 6 weeks. So you can imagine how anxious patients are when they're waiting for the diagnosis, and doctors can't start treatment till they have the biopsy result.
The Group Executive for Advanced Chemistry and Life Sciences at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, Dr. Rachel Chikwamba, says Africa must secure its own data sovereignty and set the terms for how data is accessed and used. Addressing the third G20 Research and Innovation Working Group and ministerial meeting underway at the CSIR International Conference Centre in Pretoria on Tuesday, Dr. Chikwamba outlined plans for a Pan-African genomic strategy, the establishment of a genomics observatory, and stronger efforts to retain African scientists on the continent.
We want to ensure African data sovereignty, to have the right to negotiate the terms for the responsible access to and use of Africa's data, cognizant of the various sub-regional priorities. We want to develop a Pan-African genomic strategy to reverse current imbalances of genomic diversity. We want to establish an African genomics observatory and to create pipelines to retain African scientists on the continent to reduce dependency on external expertise.
European Union and British health agencies have confirmed the safety of paracetamol during pregnancy, disputing a warning from US President Donald Trump linking the popular pain medication to autism. The World Health Organization said that evidence of a link remained inconsistent and cautioned in drawing conclusions. On Monday, Trump linked autism to childhood vaccine use and the taking Tylenol by women when pregnant, elevating claims not backed by scientific evidence to the forefront of U.S. health policy. The European Medicines Agency says there's no new evidence that would require changes to the region's current recommendations for the use of paracetamol during pregnancy. Recapping the top story this hour, former Malawian President Bakili Muluzi says he's had a phone conversation with President Lazarus Chakwera in which he asked the sitting president to concede defeat and congratulate Peter Mutharika for winning the September 16th elections. For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 117 114 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo Wepe.
SABC News, the African perspective.
Sports headline: Kenyan athlete Sebastian Sawe is set to cash in for winning the Berlin Marathon. And Cricket South Africa reports a successful fiscal year with profit. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni. brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
It is exactly 8 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. A very good afternoon to you, Africa. Here's what we've got in store for you on your Africa in Business agenda this afternoon. We'll be taking a look at the diamond mining industry and specifically with a focus around Botswana and their relationship with Anglo-American. We do know that Anglo-American currently owns 85% of De Beers, and Botswana owning 15% of their stake in De Beers, and Botswana having expressed an interest in acquiring a controlling share of that. We'll be looking at the dynamics regarding diamond mining, the diamond mining global industry, as well as Botswana's interest in acquiring the lion's share. We'll be joined by political economist Kevin Tutani. Also, September is Tourism Month, and Zambia is celebrating Tourism Month as well. Their theme this year is Tourism and Sustainable Transformation. We'll be talking about how the country aims to position its tourism capital as a premier global destination. Looking forward to your interaction this afternoon. Please do engage with us on the various social media platforms, on X, on YouTube, as well as Instagram. You'll find us at Channel Africa 1, and on Facebook we are at Channel Africa. If there are any stories that you'd like to share, perhaps stories that are of interest to our listeners, both on the African continent and in the diaspora, you can send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
We begin here this afternoon. South Africa and China are taking another step towards strengthening their economic cooperation. This week, the Chinese embassy, together with the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, is hosting the South Africa-China Trade and Investment Promotion Conference at the official opening of the 9th China-South Africa Trade Fair at Johannesburg's Gallagher Convention Centre. Channel Africa's economics reporter, Innocent Samosa, is there.
The event has drawn senior government leaders and over 400 Chinese enterprises from 13 provinces, showcasing opportunities across sectors ranging from textiles, electronics to building materials and furniture. Zuko Godlimpi is South Africa's Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition.
So obviously, facing as we do the headwinds in the global trade environment, strengthening our trade is absolutely critical. In particular, as we've said, being able to diversify what we send to the Chinese market compared to what has been the case until now.
With the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, set to expire, the Deputy Minister shared his views on what this could mean for South Africa's trade future.
Well, from what we know, which was announced by the President of the United States, imposing a minimum of 10 to 15%, but in the case of Africa, 15% tariffs on pretty much all countries on the continent, it does mean that the tariff-free access to the U.S. market is all but gone. So I think the expiry next week is a formality. We would, of course, have preferred a situation where AGOA continues because AGOA has greater benefits for the South African economy.
For South African businesses, the fair presents a chance to tap into one of the world's largest markets and attract potential partners for local industries. Hanki Matabane, CEO of Black Business Council South Africa, says South African businesses should position themselves to take full advantage of these opportunities.
It is an opportune time because, as you know, there are other complications with America, for example. So it's important that South African businesses should look at other options and look at other markets like China. And then China is big, as you know. But I fully agree with what you are saying. It's important that the Chinese should also come and establish companies here. For example, we've got a lot of vehicles in South Africa that are from China. We can't only just be exporters or importers of China's products. They must come and establish factories here so that we can create jobs in South Africa.
On the Chinese side, interest goes beyond simple trade in goods. Chinese enterprises are increasingly looking at South Africa as a hub for investment in value-added industries, areas that not only expand trade but also create local jobs. But the question remains, what new areas of investment are Chinese companies exploring in South Africa? I had a chat with Vice President of Sunny Group, Roger Gu.
Yeah, I think it's very important between China and South Africa. Also, we have the confidence about the partnership between the two countries. Also, following the friendship between China and South Africa, Sunny heavy industry company and Sunny Group, we also have the renewable energy area products. We come here just we want to bring not only the products of equipment, but also we want to bring the green energy to South Africa.
As the conference and trade fair unfold, all eyes will be on how these discussions translate into concrete deals and whether they mark a new chapter in South Africa-China economic relations. For Channel Africa News, I'm Innocent Samos in Johannesburg.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
We move now to Botswana, where the government has expressed its intention to acquire a controlling stake in De Beers. They aim to do this by the end of October. This as Anglo American, which currently owns 85% of De Beers, seeks to divest its stake as part of a restructuring launched 16 months ago. Africa's largest diamond producer says a majority ownership would mean greater influence across the global diamond supply chain and an opportunity to reinforce the value of natural stones. The Southern African country currently owns 15% stake in De Beers and half of the Debswana joint venture. For more on this, we joined on the line by an independent policy researcher and political economist, Kevin Dutani. A very good afternoon to you, Kevin. Good to have you with us on Africa in Business.
Great. It's a pleasure to be with you too.
So we know that the natural diamond market has been under severe global pressure and strain with a decline in market value and how much each diamond can really cost with the rise of laboratory manufactured diamonds. In the background of that, I guess the question to start off with is, what is it that's motivating Botswana to opt for controlling stake in De Beers in an industry that seems to be declining?
Well, look, the valuation of diamonds is always a contested area because you can value them at any amount that you choose to value them. In South Africa, De Beers had a problem with other policymakers as well in South Africa because of the way in which it was valuing the diamonds. They can value it in any way that they so wish because there is no methodology in how you value diamonds. That's the big problem. So now, as long as Botswana, as the government of Botswana has minority stake in the mining of diamonds, what that means now is they won't be able to control how valuation goes and to confirm if what's been valued within Botswana is going to be consistent with what's been valued in the downstream chain of the industry as the diamonds go to India, USA, and all these other markets.
So are you saying then that diamonds can still be considered a strategic asset?
They can be, really, because they are actually strategic. There's so much demand for them, although it's been declining because of the laboratory-made diamonds. But we can say, yes, they are strategic.
Now, we've seen that Anglo American, they did delay the sale, and this is in the background of the prolonged slump in the natural stones market that we've been discussing. Why is it pushing now to divest its 85% stake in De Beers? What is key and crucial about this specific timing?
Well, look, Anglo is involved in mining in terms of mining a lot of minerals. So if you look at probably what I suspect Anglo's strategy to be is that it wants now to invest more in critical minerals, which are minerals of the future, which are minerals which are, are going to be used in, which are actually used in renewable energy, new energy vehicles. We are going to see huge demand for such minerals. So I would expect them to be divesting from there to go into something which is actually really more strategic than diamonds. Although diamonds are strategic, but critical minerals we have to face it. They are more strategic because we're going to face huge demand going forward.
Now, we do know that this is not the first time that Botswana has made a bid for the controlling stake, even though the former president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, he failed to get that particular deal done. Also, De Beers has made it clear that they're also talking to other potential buyers, other potential bidders. What are the prospects of success for Botswana?
Well, whoever is going to buy the stake in De Beers without the government of Botswana's consent or approval is setting themselves up for failure. So I would expect the government of Botswana to find success in acquiring the majority stake as long as it can secure enough capital to cross the $2.4 billion line, which is needed to have majority stake in that company, which they seek to have majority control over. So whoever now, independent of the government of Botswana, who is not them, who wants to get that majority stake, they have to be really careful because you need government approval for you to be sure that there will be support going forward when you begin to participate in that industry.
Perhaps let's backtrack a little bit and analyze the reasons why Masisi's bid failed. Can you take us through that?
Well, like you said, diamonds are strategic. And we don't really you see a situation where any company that is good management to actually decide to let go of a strategic position like those diamonds. But like we said, as I suspect now, Anglo has found opportunity in critical minerals of the future, and perhaps that's the reason why they're now willing to let go of this majority stake in the company. That's what I suspect.
And as far as the financing of this potential acquisition, where would Botswana source the funding?
It's really not much because like we said, they already have 50% stake in the company. The company's total valuation now is $4.79 billion. So their current ownership of the company is around $750 million. They need anything around $2.5 billion for them to cross the 50% shareholding mark. That's not much money. We've heard that they're in talks with Oman, that is the sovereign wealth fund of Oman. I think it's an emirate or a country. I'm not too sure, not too familiar with what's going on over there. So they are in discussions with Oman, right? They want to borrow from the sovereign wealth fund of Oman, and then they can repay that money. But if the government of Botswana were more strategic, I think these are such discussions they can also take to the IMF and seek for concessionary funding for this kind of developmental objective, because I think they can get more concessionary funding from the IMF, much lower interest rates, and it's easier for them to say they'll pay it back because this is a commercial enterprise that they want to invest in. This is not just in paying off other debt and any other. This is commercial enterprise. They'll be getting that money back to repay, as far as I would say.
So, Kevin, what would be the political risks or the political pressures that could arise from the government taking control of a major mining company?
Yeah, if they force their way too much, it's going to give insinuations of expropriation, along the lines of expropriation without compensation, expropriation with compensation, depending on whether or not they're going to pay for the full market value. But even if they pay for market value, they just don't have to press their way so much to get their way, because if they do, that's going to curtail domestic and foreign investment, because that's not a good climate for investment as long as the government is forcing its way too much into business. So they have to be careful so that they don't force their way too much to get their way.
Certainly is a balancing act. Kevin Tutani, we thank you so much for your insight this afternoon. Very much appreciated, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Kevin Tutani. He's an independent policy researcher and political economist on Botswana, the government lifting up their hands, expressing an intention to acquire a controlling stake in De Beers. It is 23 minutes after 4 p.m.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Wewe ni mjasiriamali unajihusisha na biashara ya kuuza dawa. Jaribu kutuambia kwanza, kwa nini ulianzisha biashara hiyo?
Tutasema kwamba maisha ya kila siku ni kwamba mtu anapashwa maisha ya kuweza kujitegemea, usitegemee kuajiriwa, lakini lakini utegemee kujiajiri na baadaye utaweza ukaajiri wengine, na hiyo ilinipa msukumo mkubwa kwa kuweza kujiajiri na kampuni hii kwa ajili ya kuweza kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahangaika zaidi.
Unauza aina gani ya dawa?
Unasema ni dawa, lakini kwetu sisi tunaita kama vile ni pipi, ambayo ni virutubisho ambavyo vinakwenda kusaidia kwa wale ambao wanatatizwa na aina tofauti ya magonjwa.
Virutubisho hivyo sasa vinatibu magonjwa gani?
Virutubisho hivi vinatunza magonjwa kama vile ya kisukari, shinikizo la damu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Africa means business. Tune into Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni for the future of the African economy. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 24 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. Now, multi-choice viewers can breathe a sigh of relief as French media giants Canal Plus has announced their favorite shows will continue. This is even after the company's takeover. This morning, yesterday, that was Monday, the 22nd of September, in a conference call, Canal Plus made an official announcement regarding its mandatory takeover offer for the shares of the MultiChoice Group. The French company confirmed it's now in effective control of the South African entertainment powerhouse. According to Canal Plus, the company is now set to begin the integration process. However, they have been quick to reassure the public as well as shareholders that the transition will be smooth and, most importantly, will not disrupt the viewing experience. Notando Makutulela reports.
French company Canal Plus is a global media and entertainment powerhouse, currently serving 26.9 million subscribers worldwide and over 400 million monthly active users on its video streaming platforms. The company announced its effective control of the MultiChoice Group. It says the current CEO of MultiChoice, Calvo Mawela, will take over the new role of chairperson of the Canal Plus African operations. The company says MultiChoice viewers should expect things to remain the same and enjoy their favorite shows. Maxime Sada, Canal Plus chair.
There will not be any duplication because what's beautiful in this combination is that there is no territorial overlap. This Canal Plus has been operating in close to 50 countries, 25 of them in Africa. MultiChoice has been operating in 16 African countries without any overlap. So the rights that we've covered, that we've acquired, or the content that we produce is really streamed and broadcast on our respective territories. It would just be like a beautiful puzzle coming together.
The company says the main aim is to expand its footprint in the African continent. It adds that while Canal Plus will be the name of the company going forward, the MultiChoice brand will be retained as the two companies merge. David McNair, Canal Plus CEO.
And I must say, never, as Maxime mentioned, I've always been struck by the level, of competencies and vision for Africa that, all the executives along the decades of MultiChoice have proven. And so, we are intending to follow that track.
Maxime Sada, Canal Plus chair.
And as we mentioned, you may have missed the beginning of the call, but the new combination, the new entity, Canal Plus and MultiChoice, will be double listed in London and Johannesburg, and the new headquarters for Africa will be based out of Johannesburg.
During the conference call, when questioned about its future investment in local sport, Canal Plus affirmed its commitment to maintaining MultiChoice's position as the leading platform for all major sporting events. Sada again.
We are already, and we will become even more so, the number one broadcaster of Premier League, of Champions League, of Formula One, of MotoGP, and of a number of rugby and golfing contents and so on.
The company says it aims to strengthen its relationship with the public broadcaster, the SABC. MultiChoice's current news channels, including SABC News, ENCA, and Newsroom Africa, will remain on its platform with new offerings to be expected. The combination of the two companies will serve more than 40 million subscribers across close to 70 countries in Africa, Europe, and Asia, supported by a workforce of approximately 17,000 employees. Half of the current board members of MultiChoice will serve in the newly established Canoplus Africa to be listed on the JSE. Nothando Makutulela in Johannesburg.
From markets to innovation. From markets to innovation. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni covers it all. With Africa's future in focus, Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 4:29 Central African time. Still coming up before the or between the 4:30 and 4:30 and 5 p.m. hour. A look at Zambia Tourism Month. Their theme this year is tourism and sustainable transformation. We'll be speaking to the Permanent Secretary of Zambia's Ministry of Tourism, Evans Mohanga. Also a look at South Africa's presidency of the G20, as well as the efforts that Standard Bank is putting in place in order to ensure that the vision of securing Africa as an integrated and competitive equal economic partner to the world is realized. A conversation with the commercial banking regions and offshore group leader coming up as well. It's gone exactly 4:30 Central African time as we head over now to the markets desk, where Thabiso Lehoko is standing by with your latest market indicators.
Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks, Thami, and good afternoon. $1 in South Africa is trading at 17 Rand 32. Botswana 13 Pula 17, Namibia 17 Namibian dollars 32, and in Zambia it's trading at 23 kwacha 70 to the dollar. In Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 524. Ethiopia 143 birr 699. Uganda 3,000 shilling 481, and in Tanzania the dollar will cost you 2,000 shilling 458. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,493 naira. In Egypt, it's at 48, Egyptian pound 88, Tunisia 2 dinar 895, Algeria 128 dinar 661. The Moroccan dirham is trading at 8936 to the US dollar. In Angola, the dollar is trading at 912 kwanza, while the Congolese franc is at 2,747 to the US dollar. Commodities markets now. Gold is trading at $3,784 and platinum $1,459 per ounce. Brent crude oil is at $67.30 a barrel. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business in Johannesburg, I'm Thabiso Lehoko.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
And for the latest from the business of sport, here is Figile Lingwate.
Sports on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Good afternoon, Thami. We begin with athletics in our business of sport. Sebastian Sawe is set to pocket over $60,000 after emerging victorious in the Berlin Marathon on Sunday. A 30-year-old completed the race in under 2 hours, 02.30 seconds, which was the cut-off for receiving a $35,000 cash bonus. Athletes in the men's category were also entitled to a further $129,000 if they managed to break the world record time of 2 hours, 00.35 seconds set by Kenyan athlete Kelvin Kiptum at the 2023 Chicago Marathon. Sawe unfortunately did not manage this feat. In the women's race, Rosemary Wanjiru also flew the Kenyan flag high as she emerged victorious with a time of 2 hours, 21.04 seconds to become the first Kenyan to win the Berlin Marathon in 7 years. Effectively, Wanjiru also pocketed $35,000 from her victory, although she missed out on the bonus since she required her run to a sub 2 hours, 16.00 seconds. On to cricket news. Cricket South Africa, CSA, held its annual general meeting in Johannesburg at the weekend, where it reported a net profit of $14 million. This figure was supported by broadcast income, ICC distributions, sponsorships, ICC events, and investment income in fiscal year between the 1st of May 2024 and the 30th of April 2025. It's a significant decline from $47 million they raked in the previous fiscal year, but still one to celebrate considering the losses made in the previous years, for the Federation voted the best administratively at the South African Sports Award. CEO Phuletsi Moseki explained that they are projecting an even further loss of revenue next year due to the lack of international home calendar this summer.
As CSA, we budget over a 4-year cycle because we do understand that there'll be some years where we make significant profits, then other years where we don't make money, we make losses, as the case might be. Hence, it's always important that when we do our budget, we budget over a 4-year cycle, really linked to our future tour program. Because of course, most of the money comes from broadcast revenues. And as you know, when India does come to the country, or England or Australia, we do make significant broadcast monies, but we can't host those countries every year. And basically say over the 4-year, how did we perform?
Museki, though, says he's confident that sponsors are beginning to have trust in them again.
I think you would have seen, especially in the last 12 months, we've been engaging and announcing a number of new partnerships. It took us a while basically to earn the trust of the market again, but I feel as cricket, we're actually in a good space now. There's partners that we've been announcing. I think you would have noticed that probably at least once a month, Kirsten references, people are announcing a new partner on board, And you are correct, the more partners that we bring on board will obviously help us, especially with this cyclical nature of broadcast revenue, to actually at least have some sort of a buffer that will be coming on sponsorship revenue.
On to golf news. United States Ryder Cup players are being paid to participate in the event for the first time this week, a move that has not been universally well received. Each of the 12 U.S. team members will receive $500,000, with $300,000 designated for a charity of their choice and the remaining $200,000 as a personal stipend. U.S. Captain Keegan Bradley defended the decision, stating the PGA of America aimed to modernize the Ryder Cup and align it with the President's Cup's payment structure. Bradley confirmed he would donate his entire $500,000 allocation to charity, but would not pressure his players to do the same. Let's end with cycling news. Belgium's Remco Evenepoel dominated the 40.6-kilometer race to win his third consecutive men's time trial title at the 2025 Road World Championships in Kigali in Rwanda. Evenepoel has not been paid by Rwanda Cycling. Rather, his move to the Red Bora Hasbro for the 2026 season involves $6 million annual salary with potential bonuses, pushing the total value of his 3-year deal beyond $20 million. This contract, a new one, reportedly one of the richest in cycling history, makes him the second highest paid rider, just behind Tadej Pogacar. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fikile Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. 28. Africa in Business. Africa in Business delivers key insights and real-time updates on Africa's growing markets with Thami Ngubeni. The African Perspective on Channel Africa.
Channel Africa. It is exactly 4:37 Central African Time. The World Health Organization's Regional Office for Africa and the Global Fund have brought together health leaders, development partners, as well as experts in Johannesburg, South Africa, to explore new ways of financing health systems. The three-day meeting aims to strengthen sustainable funding for universal health coverage across the continent. Our reporter, Lebohang Mabange, attended the first day of the event and filed this report.
At the Radisson Blu in Sandton, global health stakeholders are looking for solutions to close Africa's health financing gap. Dr. Natila Tavanchi, Senior Manager Financing Country Support at the Global Fund, says partners must unite to secure stronger funding.
I think for the Global Fund, it was very important to be party of a discussion of all possible partners to secure robust health financing for Africa, and be that from domestic resources, be that from grants, be that from concessional loans. So it is the time now that we come all together to address the dependency in the region, the need for domestic finances to increase in the region, but also the need for development partners to come together to support country priorities.
Dr. Tavanchi says that African countries are setting ambitious targets to achieve universal health coverage and strengthen local production of medicine.
In the African continent, the ambitions are high. So first of all, there is this increased impetus on universal health coverage and increasing financial risk protection for everybody in the country, including the poor and the vulnerable. Then there is the movement to secure a sustainable workforce. Then there is the movement to increasingly integrate and absorb the vertical programs into the national health systems and primary health care.
The World Health Organization South Africa's country representative, Shinaz El-Halabi, says health financing is no longer a niche topic, but a central policy issue.
The phrase health financing has become so familiar in recent years. It is no longer just for technical specialists. It is now part of everyday policy discussions. We see that this in the sharp rise in research and publications on the subject, and also in the way countries are putting forward real resources behind it. Global health spending has more than doubled since 2000. All of this tells us that health financing has truly moved to the center of the health agenda. And this is rightfully so.
UNAIDS Regional Director Dr. Anne Kituku Shongwe stresses the importance of collaboration to keep Africa's health systems and HIV response strong.
So as we join hands together with our regional bodies, led by the AU and other players, the institutions such as ourselves, WHO, UNAIDS, and other partners will continue to collaborate closely with you, our governments, and look at best ways for us to ensure that the health systems that we build, the social systems, the HIV response that we have continues from strength to strength because of this collaboration.
The meeting continues this week with government officials, donors and civil society working to align financing models that can future-proof Africa's health systems. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Lebohang Mabange in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
Well, Zambia is certainly in business this tourism month. The theme this year is tourism and sustainable transformation, and it's aimed at highlighting the positive impact that tourism can have on people, places, and the planet. As part of the festivities, the country's Department of Tourism has embarked on the Livingston Town Centre Development Programme. Now, this programme is aimed at repositioning the country's tourism capital as a premier global destination. For more on this, joining us this afternoon is the Permanent Secretary of Zambia's Ministry of Tourism, Evans Mohanga. A very good afternoon to you. Welcome to Africa in Business.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Well, it looks like it's going to be a really busy week, looking at the week of the 22nd to the 27th of September, where Zambia marks festivities and celebrations for Tourism Month. Could you take us through what the plans are as far as celebrations are concerned?
So basically the week is meant to bring awareness to the general public and the private sector that are involved in the tourism landscape. But again, you'll see that the whole team is in Livingstone being our tourist capital here in Zambia, because that's where we have the iconic Victoria Falls. But what we started with, first of all, was the minister and the staff getting involved into a marathon that they were running within the city. But again, they had a press briefing at the Victoria Falls site itself, because what we've been doing is to improve, first of all, the security of the site in terms of the tourists that walk around there. So all the walkways, the barriers, we're replacing some of them. We've started with removing some of the wooden barriers. They've been there for quite a long time, but also making it safe for those tourists who move with children, so that they cannot actually slip through those barriers. So we've made them a little bit closer to each other. And then what we are doing also is to ensure that people enjoy the tourism product. So in our national parks on the 27th, which will be the finale day itself of the tourism day, they will be entering basically for free to our national parks. So we want, and also the heritage sites, so that they can, and the museums actually, so that they can be able to just be part of our celebrations. So as you have said, this is the theme for the year. It's something to do with tourism and sustainable transformation. So we are doing quite a lot of transformation in the area. We have $100 million project which we are doing over a 7-year lifespan. We call it the Great TDP. It's simply for Green Resilient Transformational Development Project. That Livingstone is also part of it, but we have chosen tourism development areas where we have to put basic infrastructure, because Zambia is well endowed with many waterfalls apart from just Victoria Falls. If you go in our northern circuit, you'll find there are waterfalls like Lumangwe Falls. It's spectacular. It just looks like Victoria Falls. We have Ntumbachushi Falls. We have Nkundalila. A lot of them, actually, I can go on and on, but we have more than 198 or so waterfalls dotted around the country. As you know, 60 or 40 to 60% of the water bodies within Southern Africa emanate from here in Zambia. The Zambezi River starts from here. The Kafue River starts from here. Luangwa, all these rivers, they are quite big rivers. Kabompo River, and they all tributaries that actually run until they come through Kebrabassa in Mozambique and also to the Indian Ocean in South Africa. So this is why we need to ensure that we do things sustainably from this side, because the whole world is connected. Africa is connected. Our water bodies are connected. All our ecosystem, basically in terms of land and just forests, they are all connected. So the aquatic and non-aquatic species, they all depend on this, and we have to do it in a sustainable manner, even as we pursue our commercial objectives with the private sector to ensure that tourists can be able to enjoy the God-given endowments that Zambia has. So those are the main things we are doing here.
I mean, one of the things that you mentioned, sir, is the fact that, yes, individuals will be able to enter the national parks free of charge, the heritage sites, etc., on the 27th. But you have also mentioned that this is not just about encouraging domestic tourism within Zambia for Zambians, but really it's about positioning Livingstone Town as a premier global destination, so marketing to the world at large. How are you working with SMEs in the tourism sector in order to achieve this?
So as you know, the SMEs are the engine for any economy, because they are the majority. And when you look at the players in the tourism sector, the majority of them are actually SMEs who own lodges, who own tented camps in the national parks and the game management areas. They could have a 6-bed, 8-bed, 10 to 12. So those are not big establishments. They are simply small, medium enterprises. And they are the majority that are in rural-based type of tourism sites where many of our international tourists come to enjoy the pristine nature of Zambia's endowments in the national parks and game management areas. So how we are working with them also is that we are giving them, for example, what we are calling the matching grants. Out of the $100 million project that we have, there's a component of matching grants from there where we can actually match it up to $50,000. I think when you have a project and you want to expand and you raise some of that money, we can match it basically with our grant. And to really just handhold them and ensure that they do the right thing, giving them the support in terms of marketing, in terms of just finance and how to manage capital, but also in terms of how they can access the international market out there, and then they can be able to build their businesses. So that's what we are doing for the small, medium enterprises. But again, you find that the small, medium enterprises combined with the communities, because we do a lot of community-centered tourism when it comes to sustainable hunting practices, for example, because these villagers, they live with the wildlife and they face the brunt of the wildlife when it comes to human-wildlife conflict. So those who want to hunt sustainably, they go in those areas, but they are obliged within the hunting concession agreements which we sign with government that 50% of the fees that they get from there when they sell their quotas, they should be able to give it to the community. And the community has got a governance structure starting with the chiefs who are patrons, and then the community resource boards, which is like a governing council on behalf of the community, who actually tell us the needs of the community within that area. If they are looking for water to sink boreholes, or they want schools to be built near communities, and that's what a hunting outfitter has to actually pay and be able to help the community with some of those projects. So they are all embedded in the contract. So that's how communities benefit. And this is how also the small, medium enterprises who are in the sector are actually benefiting. So that's basically what we are doing with SMEs. But again, we are making sure that Livingstone becomes really, as you are saying, a destination of choice for both local and international tourists.
And we wish you all the best on that, sir, as you embark on the tourism month for this month, tourism and sustainable transformation being your theme. We thank you so much, and we wish you festivities and very successful festivities from the 22nd to the 27th of September. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
It certainly was. And I must say, as you were describing the various waterfalls with the heat that we're experiencing here in Johannesburg, I just imagined myself under one of those, but at least one of the gentler ones. And, you know, obviously making sure that we're nice and safe while we're cooling down as well. That was the Permanent Secretary of Zambia's Ministry of Tourism, Evans Mohanga, putting us in the know regarding the Tourism Month celebrations that the country will be embarking on, positioning Livingstone Town as the premier global destination. It's exactly 4:51.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa in business on Channel Africa.
Now, South Africa's presidency of the G20 in 2025 gives the continent a rare opportunity to shape global economic priorities. The continent's financial and trade AZ systems must be re-examined to meet the scale of what lies ahead. While South Africa holds the presidency, this is a continental opportunity, not just limited to South Africa. It's a chance to advance a vision of the continent as an integrated, competitive and equal economic partner. For more on this, Florence Wanja, Regional Head for East Africa, Business and Commercial Banking, Africa Regions and Offshore of Standard Bank Group, joins us on the line. A very good afternoon to you. Good to have you with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Thami. I'm pleased to be here.
Now, East Africa has shown resilience over the years, and it really has continued to grow. Could you take us through the key sectors that are contributing to the growth?
Excellent. So East Africa remains a very diversified economy. As you rightfully said, the GDP growth has been in the north of 5% across most of our markets. It continues to grow. I think the key reason for this growth is integration. It's very well integrated. Speaking to the sectors that are driving the growth within East Africa, key to this is agriculture, which continues to contribute significantly to the GDP. In most of the countries, 8 countries comprising of East Africa community, agriculture is the largest driver of the economy, contributing almost 30% to the GDP. Technology and innovation is also a key sector that continues to drive some of the countries. Kenya in particular, Rwanda as well. We well known to be the Silicon Savannah. Another sector that is driving growth is tourism. Again, when you look at East Africa, there is a very well diversified opportunities for tourism. In Kenya, we have the beaches, we have the safaris, Tanzania as well, Uganda, to some extent, Rwanda. An emerging sector is the manufacturing and industry. We continue to be largely reliant on agriculture and very little or minimal agro-processing. So this is an emerging sector where we are continuing to see growth, again, to just ensure that we are self-sufficient and able to do more value addition. And lastly, financial services. Services including financial services, education, health, continue to contribute significantly. We've also seen energy and infrastructure. Again, given the level of development, energy and infrastructure continue to contribute significantly with a key focus around renewable energy. As you may know, Kenya continues to lead in renewable energy with about 90% of our energy coming from renewable sources, geothermal, wind, and hydro.
Perhaps let's take a look at the G20 presidency that South Africa has, and this is clearly on behalf of the entire African continent. How can the G20 presidency play a role in further unlocking East Africa's trade and also enhancing the growth potential of small and medium enterprises across the region? And if you could, while responding to that on the G20, see how the African Continental Free Trade Area fits into that dynamic and matrix.
Excellent question. So in terms of G20, I think for the first time as Africans, we must be very proud to have a seat at the table, and having the presidency in South Africa is definitely a big opportunity for Africa. I see this playing out in terms of enabling us to really advocate for fairer trade for East Africa and Africa as a continent. And here, when we look at the current trade rules, we see tariff barriers and, more importantly, non-tariff barriers. So being at the seat will allow us to be able to advocate for some of the changes that will enable us to also be, play a significant part in driving growth. I think another opportunity I see is that given the level of development in East Africa as well as Africa, it gives us an opportunity to also advocate for, financing or investments in infrastructure. We are not going to be able to deliver trade or grow the trade opportunity when the infrastructure is underdeveloped. So I see the South Africa presidency playing a big role in basically championing the opportunities that are there to invest in ports, inroads, energy, digital infrastructure as well, which is also key towards driving trade. I think the other part that we can also play is also just ensuring that we're able to advocate for African goods to be accepted in the G20 markets. So again, when you see the imbalance of trade, Africa continues to be a net importer, and this platform will also give us an opportunity to ensure that we're also exporting significantly to some of these countries. We do have good opportunities for export, be it tea, coffee, most of our markets, floriculture. And I guess this will also give us an opportunity to really negotiate some tariffs that enable us to be more competitive in the global economy.
Certainly a seat at a very important table, not only impacting the African continent, but from a global perspective as well. Florence Wanja, we thank you very much for your insight and your time this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Thami, and good talking to you.
Same here. Thank you, ma'am. That's Florence Wanja. She's the regional head for East Africa Business and Commercial Banking, Africa Regions and Offshore at the Standard Bank Group. That brings us to the end of this Tuesday edition of Africa in Business, as we say bonjour to Joël and Vue d'Afrique.
Bonjour Thami, bonjour à tous les auditeurs de Channel Africa. Restez connectés, Vue d'Afrique tout à l'heure se penchera sur la rupture dite historique, c'est-à-dire le Burkina Faso, le Mali et le Niger qui claquent la porte de la CPI. Nous parlerons également de l'ONU 2025, les voies africaines entre paix mondiale et justice globale, urgence climatique, mais aussi du Gabon-Bénin. Les réseaux sociaux attisent le feu des relations communautaires. C'est tout à l'heure sur Vue d'Afrique. Merci Thami.
Merci beaucoup, Joël. That's a Vue d'Afrique coming up in just a moment. And that's how we as Africa in Business bid you farewell for today as we hand over to the French desk. Thank you to our fabulous team on news, Jwalane Tulongwepe, economics desk, Tabiso Lehoko, sport desk, Figile Lengwati, our producer Mabo Buloka, technical producer Mondli Mtambo, and on social media talent Butilezi and Sfiso Hlope. I'm Thami Ngubeni. This has been your Tuesday edition of Africa in Business. It's gone 1 minute to 5 p.m.
Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent.